Again, this is the only civil complaint filed with the Justice Department is settled within days without going to trial, without any prosecution, criminal prosecution for actual fraud. Now, instead of thanking the Justice Department for protecting untold consumers and the broader financial system from fraud, some colleagues have hurled unfounded accusations, abusing their power to destroy businesses and simply dislike. Yes. Now, I'm dumbfounded by this argument. Yes. But one thing remains clear to me, right? Banks are still too big for regulations. Yeah. Too big to go to trial. Right. Too big to fail. Too big for jail. Too big to even investigate for fraud or money laundering. Yeah. And too big to be held accountable for doing something to Americans. Yes. I accidentally put that there. I need to get the eraser out. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to erase this. Oh, defrauding Americans. Now, this defrauding of the United States, yes. Those Americans that have the knowledge of the fraud of issuing court orders, right. The Department of Justice should enforce the law vigorously on the villains who prey on our most vulnerable. Now, I would consider myself one of the most vulnerable since I'm homeless, right? I'm not able to get any housing resources. Yes, I can't get my civil rights enforced. And it looks like I'm going to have to go to the food bank tomorrow. Now, I had mentioned the victims' rights in the Victims' Bill of Rights, right? Where you issue court orders where you give custody of my sons to my wife without me receiving actual notice of court hearings. Now, as the most vulnerable, an acceptable level of collateral damage. Now, my thought is that you, those that are Washington State employees, are almost at that unacceptable level of the collateral damage of the fraud of refusing to enforce the laws of the United States. And some of these that are elected to Congress, right? Some of those that are employed in the White House, yes. Could be even the Supreme Court of the United States when they start to think of themselves as the collateral damage, yes, of a sheriff's department that's too big to investigate for fraud, yes. A police department that's too big, yes, to be put in jail, yes. A county that's too big to fail. And then there's the state legislature of each and every legislature of every state that's too big for trial. Now, I'm thinking, okay, that every mandatory reporter that thought that they were too big to be held accountable for defrauding Americans, they might not be. See, there's this concept that I'm too big, right? I'm too important as a elected oath of office. Yes, I'm too big. I'm too big as a state to lose my state incorporation, and I don't care what Paul has to say. Right. We're just going to continue to cause collateral damage to the unacceptable level of each and every oath, badge, and attorney losing everything that they thought that they had ownership of. And then I'm going to sue them. Witness that. It's accepted. Yes. Now, these bankers of the various banks that have the employees, yes. Mm. Did any of them money launder or participate in the Ponzi scheme of The way of doing business, ooch, royal family way. Did any of them decide to use some genetics to manufacture what look like employees? Now you say this is too big. We can't expose this fraud. Yes. We're going to continue to siphon off any and all interest. Yes. That we only go out 3 decimal points, or is it two? Oh. And then we're going to continue to charge exorbitant amounts of fees to consumer accounts. Yes. To pay for the employees that are not the actual citizens, but they're their manufactured look-alike. My thought is that I'm going to sue, yes, each bank that has any knowledge of the manufacturing of look-alikes, judge, sheriff. Now, those in the top secret family that thought, well, we only have look-alikes that happen to be dogs because we need them as police officers. Oh, every bank that has any employee that wasn't the actual employee, you could get me their signatures on their actual accounts. Yes. Let's say you got employed in a bank and you had a bank account before the employment of the bank that you're working at. Yes. Give me the signature cards of all the employees for the last 40 years of every FDIC insured, of every bank account they had before their employment. Yes. Before they opened an account after they were employed at a bank. Now, for all fraudulent signatures, all not, well, I'm thinking trillions, okay? Because you said you're too big, Sheriff. Trillions. Now, sign here. It's a little lawsuit. Yes. That will include each and every banker, of all FDIC insured banks. Yes. Where the signature card of the employee, yes, does not match the signature of their bank account that they had before employment at a different bank than where they actually are.